let's practice a running stitch. Now, a running stitch is a bit of a misnomer. In this video, we're actually going to be doing a basting stitch in preparation for hemming. A running stitch can be used for a variety of different things, depending on the length of it. But a basting stitch is quite long and is temporary. And when we do a basting stitch, we are going to be temporarily holding together a seam or turning back fabric so that it can then be felled to something. In this case, I'm going to fold up this fabric as if I'm hemming it. And so I'm going to baste this fold up. And to baste, it's super easy and is probably one of the best first options for you. Is you're going to be using your non-dominant hand alongside your dominant hand. So I'm right-handed. So my left hand is actually doing the work of stabilizing the fabric here. So I've pre-pressed this and I'm pinching it with my left hand. And then I'm going to follow behind it with my needle and with my right hand. So again, if you're left-handed, you're going to be pinching with your right hand and then following along with your left hand. But to baste this up, all I'm going to do is take my needle and I'm holding my needle parallel to the work, parallel to my body. I'm not going to be sewing like this. We want to make sure that the needle is not going to move very much, and we want to make sure we're using our whole arm, as I've talked about in other videos. If you want to learn more about really proper technique, I do have a video on proper sewing technique that you can check out. So we're going to dip this needle just ever so slightly, just kind of push the needle down into the fabric. My middle finger of my non-dominant hand is actually interacting with the tip of the needle there, so I kind of know when it's going through the fabric. And then I'm going to gently kind of pivot that needle upwards, and it's going to then connect with the fabric and come through it. So if I do that again, you can actually see what happens is my non-dominant hand actually is pushing the fabric up, and my dominant hand is rocking that needle back so that they actually intersect with one another. And now I'm going to pull that through so the knot is locked in place. And then I'm just going to continue to do the same technique along the row. So each of these stitches is going to be about 1/4 of an inch, or about 5/8 of a centimeter. So we're looking at a relatively big stitch. It doesn't have to be super tiny, with the intent of just, again, temporarily holding this fabric up. But it is a great practice to try and get consistent, even stitches. It's also a really good practice in just proper technique, proper thimble usage, and how you hold your hands, and just getting comfortable with needle and thread and manipulating that fabric as you're sewing behind it. As I'm folding this piece of fabric up, you might notice that the weave structure of this textile is in line with the weave structure of the rest of the fabric. We don't want to take this fold and kind of push it to one side or push it to the other side. In this case, since I'm going to be doing a hem later, I'm going to do it nice and straight. Now, even though I'm basting the raw edge of this fabric back so that I can eventually hem it and finish it off, I will do this kind of basting on different types of things. So it might be for hemming, or it might be in preparation for, say, turning back the raw edge to then fell a lining into, say, a bodice, or it might be folding back fabric for the purposes of doing, say, some mending or even some applique. So this is definitely an extremely versatile technique. It really is the foundation of 18th century hand sewing, and it can also be the foundation of modern hand sewing.